Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to another edition of DIY Money.
DIY Money.
All right, couple of housekeeping odds and ends, Logan. We're going to jump right into it. First of all, we're finishing up this series, and we're going to go back to questions. So send us those audio file questions to podcast@DIYmoney.org. So I had a question in the tribe. Mm-hmm. It was a really good question, and I said that, or maybe it was a comment, you should do a podcast. Yeah, that's what it was. And I said, that would be a great question. Send us a question on that. To which the tribe member promptly said, how should I send it in? And I was like, we're failing. We're failing you. You're a member of the tribe, and you don't know how to send in a question. So I'm going to break it down. The premise of this show, and I know we have a lot of new listeners, so we are so glad you're here. Thanks for jumping on the DIY train. But the premise traditionally of the show is we take your questions. If we use a question, let me jump to the carrot. If we use the question, we'll send you a $25 Amazon gift card. It's the easiest way to get a $25 Amazon gift card delivered right to your email box. No other hoops to jump through. It's pretty simple. But what you do, if you're watching on YouTube, you get on your phone. There's a voice memo section here. You can't see this on the because you can't zoom in. But I have just pulled up voice memo, and you hit record. Hey, DIY Money. This is Bob from Minneapolis, and I want to know whatever. Why does my kid suck with money? Okay? And you then email that to podcast@DIYmoney.org. That's podcast@DIYmoney.org. That goes to A. Howard. A. Howard listens, and she's like, nope, that sucks. That's terrible. Nope, we're not talking about that. And if it gets through, and it's a good question that we can use on the show, we'll use it, we'll answer it, we'll send you a $25 Amazon gift card. Now, let me add to that. What we are looking for are questions that are, you know what, the run-of-the-mill basic type stuff. We're trying to get away from, hey, how do I do a backdoor Roth IRA? That's a good question. We've covered it in the past. You know what? It probably appeals to 3% of our audience. But why does my teenager suck with money is actually a great question. Maybe I'll send that one in. My teenager doesn't suck with money, by the way. But, you know, those are questions that we want to get to the root of, the psychology or the basic principles or et cetera. Why? Why are we so adamant on that? Because if you look at the statistics, most people today, April 22nd, 2025, are running out of money before they run out of month. It's not great. The data tells us people are hurting. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're extended in their auto, their credit cards, their student loans. They're now FHA mortgages are the most delinquent they've been in history. It's not great. So that's why we want to help. We want to help you out there. So we've been in a series lately. We started with money pits. Now we're on the money map, right? And one of the things we want to talk about is what today, Logan, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, today we're going to talk all about basically who you're going to bring along with your journey. So we're talking about the money map, but today we're talking about your traveling companions, the people that you're bringing along on this. So we talk a lot and we have several episodes about spouses that you're going to have and how to navigate that. We can speak a little bit to that, but I really want to talk today, Quinn, about mentors, because you and I have had great mentors in our lives. You've been a mentor of me. And that just helps you along your financial journey. It helps in a lot of different areas of life, but we want to dive into that and how to have those people along the journey to really get you to where you want to go.
Do you know the 4 most underutilized, probably most powerful words in the English language?
I do not.
Will you help me? You would be amazed at the power those 4 words hold, and how rarely people will use those words. If you are a young person, and heck, if you're not a young person, but if you're specifically speaking to the young people out there, if you are a younger person listening to this podcast, I will promise you that if you adopt those 4 words when it comes to disciplines in your life, and what I mean by disciplines, I don't mean being disciplined. I don't mean you getting in trouble or you not eating Doritos. What I mean is the areas of your life that you want to excel at. Maybe that's career. Maybe that's relationship. Maybe that's your faith. Maybe that's your finances. Maybe it's your fitness. whatever the area is, the discipline that you want to excel at, the sooner you realize that someone else has done it, and more than likely, they are willing to help you achieve or get to your goal, the better off you will be.
Absolutely.
I learned that at a very young age, and I learned it, ironically, through a book. I learned it through Think and Grow Rich, one of the greatest books by Napoleon Hill I ever read in my life. It was given to me by my father, so, kudos to my dad for introducing me to this book. He actually gave me the audio cassette tapes at the time, which was when we had a cassette tape in our car, because he knew I wouldn't read the book, and he was right. I listened to the audio cassette tapes. But while the book is very good about sort of psychological programming of the mind and so forth, we can't miss the fact that Napoleon Hill wrote that book after interviewing some of the most successful people in his time, Henry Ford, Tom Edison. He spent time with these people. And when he spent time with these people, he number one, asked them for their help in learning how they became successful.
Right.
And so, yes, I picked up a lot of the principles that he intended on me picking up. But what I also picked up in that book was that this no-name author went to some of these great men of industry and said, "Will you help me?"
Absolutely.
And they did. And so in my life, at a very young age, I learned to say those 4 words, transformed my life forever. By the way, I still say those words to this day. The most, I would say immediate example, where I'm going with this, is running. And I know many of you listening, watching, you're like, ugh, I'm over this. But it's very important to me. I wanted to become a better runner. There's a million articles, books, courses, videos, etc. that I could have taken, or I could say to someone who is already a better runner, and by the way, who has done all that stuff, I could sit them down and say, "Hey, will you help me?" And I did. And that individual said, "I would love to help you." And by the way, it fired him up. And so it not only created an incredible mentor-mentee relationship in Morris mentoring me in running, but it also fueled his fire for sort of re-emerging as this incredible runner. And after lying dormant for a while, the guy, busts out of the scenes, qualifies for Boston, is running Berlin. I mean, he's killing it. He kind of left me in the dust, but I mean, whatever. But my point is that if you're a young person, the sooner you adopt that, the better. I'll tell you a quick story. I was, again, running. Sorry, a lot of these. But I was running, and we invited this young kid to run with us. And we're running, and we're on a 10-mile run, and we're at mile 5 or 6. And one of the guys that we're running with is, and I don't know this kid very well, okay? He was a server at this restaurant we go to all the time. He knew we came in there. We were runners. He liked to run, so we invited him along. Okay. And so I had met him. He probably served in this restaurant a dozen times, maybe 20 times, okay? And he's like, we're running, and he's like, the guy's like, "So what are you interested in?" Young guy, right out of college. He's like, "Well, I'm really interested in like finance and like money and investments and stuff. And I'm just trying to, and so I've got a waiting table job to kind of, get my money and situation, and I'm trying to get some things cleared up. And I'm really just trying to network and meet people. And I'm running right next to him, okay? Right next to him.
Yeah.
And my buddy who's on the other side is asking him these questions, and I can tell in his brain he's like,
what?
He's like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, and then the kid literally says, "But I just don't know anybody in the industry." And the other guy kind of chuckles. And he's like, "Oh, are you in it? Are you in the business?" Like he thought he goes, "No." He goes, "No, I'm not in the business." He goes, "But Quint's in the business, right?" And I hadn't said a word. And he goes, "Now I'm the guy he serves in the restaurant constantly. I got his number. I asked him to run." And he goes, I had no idea. And I'm running, and I said, you never asked.
There you go. Yeah.
You never asked.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, and so then he says, wow, that's amazing. Da 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 da. I have not heard from him since.
Interesting. Wow.
About sitting down and saying,
let's talk about this.
Will you help me?
Yeah.
Ever. Okay, I'm done with my stories. Get back to the situation. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're older, okay, or you're listening to this podcast and you're tuning in and it's about money and finances and so forth, we fail in our society communicating with others and being vulnerable about our money. We fail.
Yes.
We fail. We will confide in friends about weight issues, marital issues, other relationship issues, work issues, kid issues. I mean, we will be vulnerable and have people talk about, our children in such a fashion that, is almost somewhat embarrassing. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to spending money and understanding our finances, or when someone's struggling, very rarely, if ever, will they be vulnerable enough to open to another friend. 9 times out of 10, they do it to someone who they don't need to do it to anyways, if they do it, because that person's in a terrible financial situation as is.
Yes.
So what I can say is, number one, it's not always appearance, right? You're not looking for the person who's quote-unquote wealthy, right? Because a lot of times they're not,
Yep.
right? They just show it that they pretend they are. But you are looking for someone who has been financially responsible, who is proven to be financially responsible, and you can seek them out, and you can ask for their guidance, and you can ask for their help, and they will help you along the way. What say you, Logan?
Yeah, I'm going to speak from the perspective of how I kind of built this myself, and what we call it a lot of the times in the office, it's like your A-team. Like, you're building your A-team around you of good, strong mentors that can help you in different areas of your life. So this extends well past finance, but obviously it's very important in this field. So I have mentors that are in the finance space, in the business space, in the spiritual space, all those different areas, because I think it's super, super important to have someone that you're looking up to and that is pushing you to grow in a space. So when you're doing that, step one, which you just kind of touched on, is making sure the person that is going to be your mentor, that you're going to reach out to and ask for help, make sure they are not broke in the area that you're trying to get mentorship in. So if they are not spiritual and you're trying to pursue them as a spiritual mentor, that's not going to help you. If they don't have any money, it was so funny to me. I was on this trip. I was on a guy's trip recently, and there was like 6 guys. We were playing poker around a table, and 2 of the guys are sitting there giving stock tips. And I know for a fact these guys are dead broke. Dead broke. And they didn't ask me my opinion. They're like, this stock's great. This is a really good company. This is a really good company. I'm like, what are you all talking about? And I know they have credit cards, they have auto loans, because the other day they're telling me about them. So making sure that the people you're taking financial advice from are in the financial position that you could see yourself in. The other thing that's really important when you're getting a mentor is...
Can I pause real quick? I want to... You nailed it. You see yourself in. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of people who are financially successful who may not handle their money well. Or they, yes, they make a lot of money, but they just spend frivolously. A lot of people are attracted to that. That's the influencer type, kind of idea, meaning, you're on Instagram and you're spending all this money and you're doing all this stuff. That's not what necessarily people are looking for. You're looking for security. You're looking for, safety. You're looking for longevity. You're looking for the things that money can buy in a peaceful sort of way. You're not looking, how do I just, get it so I can go on vacation 5 times a year? Yeah, that might be a priority of yours that ultimately comes from you being responsible with your money, saving diligently, etc. But seek out the person you want to become.
Absolutely.
I think that's absolutely critical.
And I mean, it can be someone that you don't initially think. So I have a guy I'm meeting with. We're actually reconnecting. It's been a little while. This afternoon, that is a teacher. And we talk about a lot of different things in life, but he's really good in finances because he saves well. He's disciplined about it. He puts things in the right place, and he saves for his kids. He saves for his family. So, like, having someone that may not be the person you think of, but you can see that's where I want to be. What they do is what I want to be. So that's really crucial, is setting yourself up. They don't have to be good in every area, because you're not going to find that probably. If you are saying, I'm going to have this person help me with finance, they might not be exactly what you want to be in every single area of life, but they are in finances. So you can pursue them in that area and then build other mentors around you for the different areas of life. You said, can I help you? That's super important. You will not, I think people don't value how much someone that's in a good, wealthy position value you taking them to lunch and paying for their lunch. That makes a huge difference too. That was something I did to quote-unquote networking, which I hate that word, but going and meeting with people and talking with them and getting input and advice. If you take them to lunch and pay for their lunch, that makes a huge difference for someone that's in a financial situation where they could pay for any lunch they want to, right? So taking them out and doing that. So number one, make sure they're in the position you want to be in and they're not broke. Number two, ask them. Get them into that right situation and build your A team around you. And number three is, as you're just going through this process, you can have more than one. You can have other people in this space. You have people that are really good at real estate that I know you talk to. It's like, I can get more information on real estate with them, but I'm never going to talk to them about stocks. Or I have some people that are just really good at budgeting and being disciplined. A. Howard, amazing at budgeting in that kind of area in space of finances, so I can talk with her and build her into my network and team of how do I get better in this particular area of finances.
I actually feel like I have no expertise in any area.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people that are experts in different areas, and I make sure that I go to them.
Yeah.
I mean, here I am, a principal in a firm. We manage $500 million. I would like to think we have an understanding of how to manage money and planning and so forth. But it's like, just as you said, if I'm looking at a commercial building, I am never going to just be like, oh, Quint Tatro, no, oh yeah, I've had a couple commercial buildings and therefore I'm a genius. No, I know a handful of guys that I would say, these are the individuals that I need to look at this with me and for me, and I will need their help. If I have a legal matter, I don't pretend I'm a lawyer. Like, I call my lawyer. Like, I mean, I think there's an air of humility, but there's an air of like, that's just wise. And again, in an area you want to improve upon, that, you want to get better at, if it's finances, if it's running, if it's whatever it might be. The last thing, and I think we can conclude on this, because we've talked about seeking them out, sometimes you need to eliminate who you're around.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you that I have had to do that over the years. As I have progressed in different areas, I have looked around and I've said, okay, these people are not helping me become a better person.
Yeah. I think there's that old saying that you're the average of the 5 closest people to you, right?
Yes. So that's sometimes incredibly important. I mean, if you're struggling with finances, and yet every evening or every weekend you're hanging out with the same people who are spending more money than they have, to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't even like, that's probably something that's going to need to change. You're going to have to look at that situation and go, okay, I need to move out of this situation. I mean, it's extreme, but if you're trying to, if you're going to AA, you're not also going to hang out at the bar. You're removing yourself from that lifestyle, and you're transforming into something different. And sometimes that's very, very difficult, because those people get angry. They'll get mad. Oh, you're better than us now. You never have time for us, etc. And unfortunately, sometimes if you're trying to do that for the betterment of your family or yourself or your sanity or your peace of mind or your health or whatever, sometimes, you just have to dust that off and keep moving on.
Yeah. The last thing, Ken, before you finish up, I think it's super important for you out there that are listening to this as well. There's probably someone in your life that you can mentor as well, that you can be someone that's guiding them. And you don't have to be forward with and be like, oh, I'm going to mentor you, but there's going to be things that come up. And I know there's someone listening to this episode whose son I mentor. The dad listens to every episode that we do. But me helping someone along their journey and their path has really helped me to have better relationships with the mentors that I have and ask the right questions and be more vulnerable. So if there's someone alongside of you that you know, maybe it's a niece or nephew or something like that you talk to on a regular basis and you can come alongside them and help them in their journey, that'd be huge too.
It's great. Let's end on that. Couple of, again, housekeeping notes. We are going to go back to questions, so please do send us those audio questions to podcast@DIYmoney.org. That's podcast@DIYmoney.org. Hit us up on all the social. And if you're still on Facebook these days, hit us up on the DIY Tribe. All right, friends, remember, the secret to wealth is pretty simple. Live on less than you make. Invest the rest. Do so for a very long time. Make it a great one.